Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this NFL DFS 2021 Week 12 preview live stream / podcast. My name is Adam Kohn. I am your host. Welcome to Main Event DFS. Welcome to this amazing Week 12 live stream for NFL FanDuel Special. I know a lot of people out there play FanDuel. I may not be the biggest FanDuel player. I play a little bit, but I'm mainly a DraftKings player. Welcome to this FanDuel Special here for this Week 12 preview live stream. Again, my name is Adam Kohn. I am your host. I am one of the NFL DFS analysts and content providers here at Main Event DFS. We are going to have a ton of fun here on this podcast live stream / podcast. Let's jump right into it. And again, for those of you unable to watch me live, this is available via VOD. So if anyone does have any chance, they can drop them in. Any questions, you can drop them in the chat here in YouTube. Other than that, you're more than welcome to drop them in our Main Event DFS Discord. Link is down below in the See More, in the description. Rather, hit that See More button. And while you're at it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. That way that you all know every single time one of these podcasts drops. And again, leave a comment down below as well. But let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear me okay? If you're in chat, say something. I want to make sure you all can hear me. What's going on, chat? All right. While we are waiting, DFS Discord link is down. As I had that watching in the background to make sure everything sounded good, which it does sound like it's good. So we are good to go, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent. Glad to hear everyone can hear me. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. So we're going to go over this the same way I do every single one of my other podcasts. I was thinking about doing something a little different. Why break from tradition? What we've been doing is good. I'm going to go over 2 games I like. I'm going to go over a GPP game or a game I want to fade. And I am going to go over some favorite defenses that I like. And I'm going to go over at the end of this live stream my core value GPP and favorite stack for this slate. I do want to start off, as always, by mentioning we are going to start, I'm going to start off, let me try this again. I'm going to start off this live stream by mentioning some of the NFL Vegas odds so we kind of know what games we want to target here. And there's kind of one that sticks out here. It's Tampa Bay at Indy, 53 over-under. There's not one other game here on this main slate that is over 50. The next closest game nearest to 50 is actually Minnesota at San Francisco, which is kind of interesting, right? So let's keep that in mind here, ladies and gentlemen. So, with that being said, let's get into the 2 games I want to talk about. We're going to start with Tampa Bay at Indy. Let's get the chalk here out of the way with, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, also, if you have any questions about DraftKings, I got DraftKings over here ready to go as well in case any of you all in chat or in Discord have any specific DraftKings related questions. But again, today is all about the FanDuel. So we're going to talk here about the 1.5 NFL Sunday Million. $300,000 to first tournament. Let's talk about here Tampa Bay at Indy. Jonathan Taylor, the highest priced player on the slate. Yes, that's right. Jonathan Taylor is $100 more expensive than Christian freaking McCaffrey against this Tampa Bay defense, which we know has been the lead against the run all season. Again, this entire play, I was going to say, is reliant upon Vita Vea after he destroyed the Bills the previous week. He is matchup proof. You play Jonathan Taylor every week. Now, here's the thing with Jonathan Taylor. We know he can catch the ball with the best of them. And the Bucs have, in fact, how's the best way to put this? The Bucs do, in fact, have an interesting run defense, right? So, Vita Vea, not sure if Vita Vea is even expected back. Let's go real quickly. NFL injury report. Head over here to CBS. I don't want to CBS. Yeah, let's go to CBS.
It's a minute.
Sorry about that. Bucs. Vita Vea is doubtful. Sorry, Brown is out. Marpet is doubtful. Vita Vea and Devin White are listed as questionable. If Vita Vea and Devin White both play, I think that means that Jonathan Taylor actually takes a hit. Now look, you still want to play Jonathan Taylor. What he did against Buffalo last week, absolutely huge. Absolutely huge what he did last week. Massive career game, ceiling game, whatever you want to call it. But let's talk about this like it is. Vita Vea is a key piece of this. If Vita Vea doesn't play, I'm more confident in playing Jonathan Taylor as a pure runner. If Vita Vea doesn't play, if he does play, I still want some Jonathan Taylor exposure. I just don't want a ton of it. Again, like, I'm sorry, like, I still massively respect this Tampa defense against the run. This will be the best running back they have faced in weeks, I believe. And I can't ever say fade Jonathan Taylor. Look, I'll take my L on that from last week. The stats were sound. The Bills were elite against the run. They are elite against the run. But look, let's call it what it is, folks. Jonathan Taylor's a beast. Do I think he's better than Christian McCaffrey still? No. I still think Christian McCaffrey is an overall better running back than Taylor. But Jonathan Taylor's really freaking close. Play Jonathan Taylor this week. It's just a matter of how much you personally want to play him versus the stats versus, all these other type of things. The Bucs defense, we've always feared playing running backs against. However, versing running backs that are receivers, I'll just pull up the stats here for y'all real quick. There we go. Defensive stats versus running backs. Tampa's been one of the worst in the league. So 478 receiving yards allowed versus opposing running backs. Jonathan Taylor, great receiving back. We're playing Jonathan Taylor this week. We're not questioning it. Tied for the third most receiving touchdowns allowed in the league. Again, against the rush, they're the best in the league. Bills took a massive hit, obviously, what Jonathan Taylor did last week. I'm still hesitant on playing lots of Jonathan Taylor. I mean, look at this price tag on Jonathan Taylor. It's $9,800. Like, maybe we can try finding some value here that makes it easier to play him. But, like, if we plug him in, that leaves us $62.75 a player. So, you want to play JT against Tampa or Christian McCaffrey against Miami? Do you want to play Jonathan Taylor or Najee against Cincinnati? You want to play Jonathan Taylor or Austin Eckler versus Denver? These are the decisions you're going to want to make. I think, well, I'll talk about the Rams-Packers game because Devontae versus Jalen Ramsey is going to be a very interesting matchup. We'll go into that later in this live stream. So, Jonathan Taylor's in play. He's matchup proof. How matchup proof is he going to be against the best run defense in the NFL? We'll see. So let's head back into this game. Let's talk about the quarterbacks position by position, as we always do here on the podcast/live stream. Two quarterbacks, obviously Tom Brady 8,200, Carson Wentz 7,300. I think Carson Wentz is very interesting this week against Tampa. Tampa, we know, maybe not has an elite secondary, but they've gotten better this year. I think the fantasy football is talking about Tampa as having the best receiving defense versus the receiver in the last 6 weeks. But, we're talking about, like, who exactly wide receivers have they played against? Well, not exactly a lot that inspire confidence. But, again, you're playing against Michael Pittman, who's not a bona fide superstar yet. He's going to get there. But, firmly in play here is Carson Wentz and Tom Brady against Indy. There's nothing else to say about that. You play Tom Brady. Now, on the other hand, you have the running backs. Again, Jonathan Taylor, $9,800. Firmly in play here. Leonard Fournette on the other side is, I think, someone that we need to have a discussion on. And this is where I wish I had someone here on the stream this week to debate this with, because I think Leonard Fournette at 7,100 makes for an interesting large field GPP play. He's not the greatest GPP play in the world, but I think he's interesting. We know Indy's been really good against running backs. Indy's been one of, I don't say the best in the league, but they're definitely good in the league. They've only got 874 yards, only 3 touchdowns versus the rushers. And the Colts have even been better than the Bucs versus receiving running backs. So I think Fournette's someone that's interesting, not someone I would specifically target on this slate, but I think Fournette is definitely interesting. So, but Taylor, you play Taylor. He's matchup proof. We've learned this. Leonard Fournette, I think, is interesting. You can play him if you want. Wide receivers. And again, folks, if you have questions, feel free to drop them here in the YouTube chat or drop them in the Main Event DFS Discord. Tag me in Discord if you're going to ask a question specific to the live stream, so I know to answer those specifically here on the live stream. I will be looking at Discord throughout the night, or rather throughout this live stream. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, both should be in the player pools, both firmly in play. Michael Pittman, 6,600. Great run back. I think an interesting run back is Zach Pascal in this matchup. I do not want any part of T.Y. Hilton. Pittman, I think, is a great play this week. I think you could, honestly, and I don't typically do this, I like to pair a quarterback with 2 of the pass catchers. So typically when I build on Fantasy Cruncher, I like to set a quarterback with 2 of their pass catchers. So quarterback with a wide receiver or a tight end. Or both. I mean, that gives you the highest upside. Here's the thing with the Colts. Taylor's their best player. Taylor catches passes out of the backfield. Taylor runs like mad. Pittman is their number 1 wide receiver. I think I can make an exception this week. If I'm playing Wentz stacks. Wentz plus Taylor plus Pittman makes for an interesting stack this week. Do I super advocate for it? Not really, but I think it makes for an interesting stack. If you all want some interesting takes on how to build stuff, go over to Al Zeidenfeld's YouTube channel. I love listening to him. I'm part of his community, have been for years. He makes learning DFS really easy, and he goes behind his method for stacking a quarterback with 2 pass catchers. I mean, up until this year, I really did running back plus wide receiver plus tight end, and I'd manually edit every single lineup. I still do. So I would just recommend, if you're interested in some logic behind that, check out some of Al's how-to YouTube videos. They're awesome. Shout out to Al Smizzle. So let's talk about Zach Pascal real quick, because he's the one I want to talk about here on the slate. I'm not interested in Dullen. Dullen really hasn't done much. 1 target, 2 targets, 4 targets. No thank you on Dullen. I think someone that's interesting here, again, I think is Pascal. Pascal, $5,300. We've seen Pascal involved before. He hasn't exactly had a stealing game. He's not exactly safe. He's got 3 touchdowns on the season. Those came in the first 2 games of the season. Last 4 weeks, 1 target, 2 targets, 7 targets, 8 targets. So, was it involved against Buffalo? Then again, that game was a disaster due to weather. Versus Jacksonville, wasn't involved. I think he's an interesting play. I wouldn't go crazy on him. But I think he makes for an interesting play. I wouldn't go nuts, though. Godwin and Evans for me, followed by Gronkowski here at the tight end position. I have no interest really in Ty Johnson or Scotty Miller. If you want to take chances on Ty Johnson, you're more than welcome to. That's Tyler Johnson of the Bucs, not Ty Johnson of the Jets. So please keep that here in mind. There we go. Now it wants to load. So Ty Johnson last week had his chance. No Antonio Brown. Ty Johnson's had his chances. No Antonio Brown for a couple weeks. 6 targets, 5 receptions, 65 yards against New Orleans. Great. 5 targets, 3 receptions, 17 yards against Washington. 3 targets, 1 reception, 8 yards against the Giants. You're more than welcome to continue back to the Ty Johnson. I probably will have him on a few lineups as well, but I will have him in my player pool. Makes for different, interesting one-offs other than just Godwin and Evans. My third favorite cat pass rusher, though, from the Bucs is Gronkowski. We saw him used again last week. 8 targets, 6 receptions, 10.1 fantasy points for FanDuel. Again, the biggest thing with FanDuel, I'm sure all you out there are listening, there are no bonuses for receiving yards of 100 plus. There are no 300-yard passing bonuses for quarterbacks. This is a half-point PPR. We're going to be looking and targeting players specifically for touchdown upside, for volume, right? So like Taylor's probably a better play on FanDuel than maybe he is on DraftKings. Maybe I went with a Najee or an Eckler, someone more involved in the receiving game. Someone more involved in the receiving game than, maybe a Jonathan Taylor is on a week-to-week basis. But, like Nick Chubb, probably a better FanDuel play than DraftKings because of the rushing upside. But I like playing Nick Chubb everywhere. But like you can understand like some of the differences between DraftKings and FanDuel. Gronkowski we know is a touchdown threat. Anytime he's on the field. I think Gronkowski is a great play here against the Colts. One of my favorite tight end plays on the slate. I love Rob Gronkowski in this matchup against the Colts. In terms of the Indianapolis tight ends, Jack Doyle, Morley Cox. Nothing more than punt tight ends if you want to play them. Yeah, Jack Doyle's been more involved recently. It's fine. You can play them if you want. Second game on this slate I want to talk about. What's the second game I want to talk about? Let's go with the Chargers. Actually, might as well hit the other highest over-under on this. Let's talk about Minnesota at San Francisco. This game, again, like we talked about earlier, Minnesota at San Francisco currently sitting at a 49 over-under with San Francisco favored by 3.5. And for reference, Tampa's only favored by 3 against the Colts. That, in and of itself, should say a lot. And I just refreshed, we still have a 49 over-under for Minnesota, San Francisco. Again, San Francisco favored by 3.5. Jimmy Garoppolo, sneakily, been a really good quarterback. Not be the best for fantasy, but he's interesting. Am I probably going to play him here on this slate? 6,500 on FanDuel? It's worth a shot. Not exactly much rushing upside with Jimmy Garoppolo. But I think he's worth a shot in large field GPPs. Kirk Cousins. Been outstanding. Love seeing these points from him. Kirk Cousins firmly in play on the slate, but he's $7,500. Keep that in mind. Hello, Dalvin Cook. $8,100 this week. Versus the San Francisco defense. Where are the 49ers? Good against the rush. Let's check off the Colts and the Bucks here. Why are they receiving? They're good against the run, but it's Dalvin Cook. We're going to adapt the same thing. Should be matchup proof, yeah? Oop, that's DraftKings. FanDuel. Dalvin Cook we know is heavily involved. Look at the target volume, 22, 20. I mean, not target volume. Look at the rushing attempts, 22, 24, 17, 18, 29, 9, 22, 20. Dude's involved when he's on the field. Targets, 4, 5, 3, 2. He's involved. Dalvin Cook, 8,100, I believe, also firmly in play. Now, look. We need to keep an eye out to this news. Can we go back to the injury reports here? Let's head over and scroll down here to the Vikings at San Francisco. Michael Hasty and Maurice Hurst are ruled out. Elijah Mitchell is doubtful. So, with that being said, let's fire up Jeff Wilson once again. Again, sorry, folks, bad habit. FanDuel, going to DraftKings. Again, I play on DraftKings. Sorry. All right, let's see. Double checking questions. No questions. Perfect. Okay, if you have questions, drop them here in the Main Event DFS Discord chat or here in the YouTube channel chat. Jeff Wilson, $1,500. A little underpriced for this matchup, in my opinion. The Vikings. Where are you, Vikings? Right below the 49ers in terms of receiving yards allowed versus opposing running backs. Yeah, they're both just worse than mid-pack in terms of rushing yards allowed, but my goodness, 7 touchdowns allowed. Oh, boy. I want to target some Jeff Wilson purely based on value and based on opportunity. Look, he didn't really get there last week, but he had 19 attempts. Only did 50 yards on it, right? So only 50 yards last week. Had a fumble, 2 targets, and caught 1. Jeff Wilson is going to be involved in this offense. We're going to be targeting some Jeff Wilson this week. I have no interest in Trey Sermon. On FanDuel, I really have no interest in Juszczyk. If it's a showdown slate, you can play some Juszczyk, but it's Dalvin Cook and Jeff Wilson for me. Wide receivers really interesting this week. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to take a drink of water. That's better. Excuse me. All right. Justin Jefferson, 8,100. Deebo Samuel, 8,000. Adam Thielen is 7,200. And the misprice of Brandon Ayuk at 6,300. Let's start with the Minnesota side of this game, and then I want to talk about the differences between Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk for this matchup. Justin Jefferson, I think, is the play you want this week. I think Justin Jefferson after last week, this is not points chasing. We've seen now 3 straight weeks. 5 targets, 11 targets, 10 targets. 143 yards 2 weeks ago, 169 yards last week. Yes, I know there were some stellar catches and stellar plays. Justin Jefferson has this kind of game-breaking speed and slate-breaking upside. Adam Thielen is a target volume machine. Last 4 weeks, 9 targets, 7 targets, 7 targets, 10 targets. Respectfully, 6 receptions, 2 receptions, 5 receptions, 8 receptions. He's had a touchdown in each of the last 4 games, in 3 of the last 4 games, except against the Chargers. So, with that being said, I think this Baltimore game of 7 targets, 2 receptions, and a touchdown is an outlier. I think Thielen is firmly in play as well, but I prefer Jefferson to Thielen. However, Thielen, we can see, is heavily involved and is used around the red zone. He has upside, 8 receiving touchdowns on the year to Justin Jefferson's 6, but Jefferson has the game-breaking speed. Both are firmly in play on the slate. KJ Osborne, nothing more than a large field GPP dart throw. He's the number 3 wide receiver on this team, not getting as utilized as much as earlier in the season. 3 targets, 2 targets, 1 target, 4 targets. No receiving touchdowns in the last 4 games. Nothing more than a large field GPP dart for this game. Let's talk about now the differences between Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Deebo Samuel, over the last few weeks, I want you to understand this. 9 targets, 9 targets, 5 targets, 2 targets. Targets are going down. Okay? 6 receptions, 5 receptions, 5, and 1. He's really being utilized in the rushing game. I'm going to go over here to DraftKings just super quick and head over to Deebo Samuel. As if we take a look at Deebo Samuel, I'm going to show you the rushing upside. Again, 6.551, 9.952 in terms of targets. So 6 receptions, 5 receptions, 5, and 1, respectively targets 9, 9, 5, and 2. Let's look at the rushing. 0, 0, 5, 8. All right. Against Jacksonville, he was utilized more as a runner. Got a touchdown. Against the Rams, caught a touchdown, rushed a touchdown. Samuel's being also used in the running game, especially now with no Elijah Mitchell. All right, keep that in mind. We go back here to FanDuel. We go look at what Brandon Ayuk has been doing the last few weeks. Brandon Ayuk been more and more involved in the passing game. Last 4 weeks, targets, 7 targets, 8 targets, 4 targets, 7 targets. Respectfully, the receptions, 4 receptions, 6 receptions, 3 receptions, 7 receptions. Caught all of his targets last week against Jacksonville. 2 of the last 4 games, he's had a receiving touchdown. Brandon Ayuk is being more utilized in the passing game. He's only $6,300. I think Brandon Ayuk is firmly in play on this slate. If you want to take a chance on a Jawan Jennings or a Trent Sherfield, I'm not doing it unless it's a showdown slate or it's a massive large field GPP dart that's just not utilized. The guy that is utilized is one Mr. George freaking Kittle. Last 3 weeks, 8 targets, 8 targets, 7 targets, 4 targets. Respectfully, the catches, 6 receptions, 5 receptions, 4 receptions. He's caught a touchdown in each of the last 3 games. 100 receiving yards, 50 receiving yards, 34 receiving yards. Broken double-digit fantasy points here on FanDuel each of the last 3 games. $6,700 is a little mispriced here on this slate, And I just have no interest in Tyler Conklin this week. Tyler Conklin is someone that we've seen utilized before. I have no interest in Conklin this week. It's $5,300. If you want to play him, go for it. I have no interest in Tyler Conklin this week. Whew! All right, that takes care of the games that I want to directly talk about. All right, these are the games I want to target. Next section, GPP only games or games that I want to fade. Let's kind of start with the most obvious. Tennessee at New England. No, I'm not fading this game. I'm fading part of this game. I'm fading the entire Tennessee side of this game. Oh, but Adam, why are you fading the Tennessee side of this game? I'll tell you why I'm fading the entire Tennessee side of this game. It's Tannehill, Jonathan Foreman, Derrick Henry, we know, is on IR. Adrian Peterson, cut. Their running backs for this game are Deonta Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard. McNichols has already been ruled out, still in the concussion protocol. I believe he's still in the concussion protocol. Yep. Been ruled out. So it's Deonta Foreman. Is he still in the protocol? Yeah. Concussion. So he's ruled out. He's in the concussion protocol. What was Peterson getting before he was cut? He didn't do bad. He had a decent amount of rushing attempts. What did McNichols have before he was cut down? That's interesting. We know McNichols was involved, but currently in the concussion protocol, Texas running back Jeremy Nichols concussion week 12 game against the New England Patriots. Stupid concussion. So it's Deonta Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard, ladies and gentlemen. No thanks. Pass. Moving on. I have zero interest whatsoever in either. New England's run defense is really, really good. Oh, but Adam, why are you not interested in anyone with Tennessee? A.J. Brown was put on IR. Julio Jones on IR. Tennessee's top receivers this week: Nick Westbrook-Akine, Chester Rogers, Dez Fitzpatrick. I know, everyone's just, it's like, what? Yeah, that's who they're throwing to. Bill Belichick is going to take away somebody. And if I'm Belichick, I'm like, who am I game planning out of this game? Who's their biggest weapon? Nobody. With all due respect to Mr. Westbrook-Akine, Mr. Rogers, Mr. Chester Rogers, and Mr. Dez Fitzpatrick. They're all fine if you want to play them. Westbrook-Akine, if I had to pick, is probably my favorite of the bunch. Probably going to be game planned out. Chester Rogers, I think, more of a slot guy. Good luck. Dez Fitzpatrick. If this kid's a rookie, you can take shots on him. Whatever. I think he's a rookie, isn't he? Yeah, he's their rookie they drafted this year. No thanks. I just don't want to say it. Sorry. So, I guess Dez for large field GPPs is fine, but I just have no interest in anyone. I have no interest in Ferkser. Now, let's talk about the other side of this game. Mac Jones, $6,800. Firmly in play on this slate. Great large field GPP quarterback. He hasn't exactly had 20 and 20-point games this season here on FanDuel, but he's been consistent. Against this pathetic Tennessee secondary, Jones could feast. So let's keep that in mind. I think he's firmly in play. I think he's a great play? No, I think he's firmly in play. $6,800 I think is great for Mac Jones. Damian Harris is listed as questionable for this game, and Ramondre Stevenson also listed as questionable for this game. We go back up here. Where is the Patriots game? Here again, this is all according to CBSSports.com. So many entries here. Let's see. So a lot of these guys are just all listed as questionable. All 9 players were at least limited participants on Friday. I can't say expect any of them to play. The Titans aren't exactly going to pose much of a threat. I think there's a good chance we see both Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson active for this game. I would prefer Harris to Stevenson, but I think Stevenson has great upside. If neither of these guys plays, $4,900 Brandon Bolden becomes a phenomenal play and great value on this slate. Wide receivers, Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, all three firmly in play on this slate. Tight ends, both the New England tight ends. Hunter Henry's dealing with a neck. Jonathan Smith's dealing with a shoulder. Check your injury reports on Sunday when the injuries come out. The actives, inactives come out on Sunday morning at 11:30 Eastern. For updates on all of these players, I would prefer Henry to Smith if you're playing a tight end, but 5,600 is a lot to ask for from Hunter Henry, again, dealing with a neck injury. So that's a half a game on a fade, half a game I want to fade, half a game I want exposure to. Let's talk about the game I want to talk about for GPP purposes, the Chargers at the Broncos. This game is currently, so by the way, Tennessee New England game, 43.5 over under. New England is favored by 7. Let's talk about the Chargers at Denver, 47.5 over under. Chargers favored by 2.5 in this game on the road in Denver. So we talk about this game, folks. Justin Herbert's been absolutely outstanding this season. $7,800. Wonderful price tag for him. Herbert's been nothing short of phenomenal this season, as I said. Multiple games over 30 FanDuel points. Justin Herbert, a phenomenal quarterback this week. Teddy Bridgewater now on the other side of this game. He's in play. If you want to take shots on the Broncos versus the Chargers, the Chargers defense, little iffy against the wide receiver position. We go over here, we check again, ProFootballReference.com. 2021 defense versus the wide receivers. Well, that's an interesting stat. So, Chargers actually the second fewest receiving yards allowed versus opposing wide receivers. So, I still think they're a little bit more susceptible than these stats are giving them credit for. I apologize if I tried to do more in-depth stats. It's been a busy week. I think Bridgewater is firmly in play here at home. More accustomed to the, I would say, somewhat like thinner air of Denver. Again, if you're a baseball fan and you play MLB DFS, you know how when there's a Coors game on the slate, you want to target Coors. Balls go out more, thinner air, different quality. I think it's a different beast when you're playing in Denver. I think Bridgewater's in play. I love Justin Herbert on this slate. Going over now to the running backs. I really wish they'd make a decision in Denver who the F they want to go with at running back. Austin Eckler, you're playing. You're locking and loading Austin Eckler. Don't even think twice about it. Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. This is so frustrating! Gordon has had a really good year. Solid year. Javonte, game-breaking upside. I guess for me it's Gordon, but I'd love to take chances on a Javonte week. So, large field GPPs, Javante's more in play. If you want to play Gordon, that's fine, but you can save money by going down to Javonte for the 700 from Gordon at 6,300. But I would prefer Javonte to Gordon. Eckler, you're playing. There's nothing else to be said. He's 8,400. You're playing Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is an absolute beast. If we take the Austin Eckler stats real quick, last week, if it wasn't for the Jonathan Taylor week, 11 rushing attempts, 50 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 2 receiving touchdowns last week, 38.5 FanDuel points. You love to see it. He's now had 2 games this year where he's had 3 touchdowns or more, I think. He's been a beast. Austin Eckler firmly in play this week. I slightly prefer him a little bit more on FanDuel because of the receptions. Slightly more on Draftkings the receptions. You get a little bit more higher points. But again, look at the touchdown upside. 13 total touchdowns in the season. You love it. Austin Eckler. Sorry about that. My headset shut off. So, Austin Eckler firmly in play on this slate at $8,400. Now, the wide receivers are what we're going to talk about here for the Chargers. Not the Clippers, the Chargers. Keenan Allen, we know, is a target. Now, I'm not going to say the W word here, but he's a target machine. I'll keep it clean. Great cash game play this week, in my opinion. I think he's someone you want to play. Look at the last 4 weeks, just target volume. 11 targets, 13 targets, 11 targets, 13 targets. Reception-wise, 6 receptions, 12 receptions, 8 receptions, 9 receptions. In 2 of the last 4 games, he's broken over 100 receiving yards. Now, again, here on FanDuel, you're not going to get the over 100 receiving yard bonus. But he's so safe. So, Keenan Allen firmly in play at $7,000. Now, Mike Williams, who had a hot start to the season, was going absolutely nuts. Has really cooled down the last several weeks. He had the one saving touchdown last week with that long breakaway touchdown, but take away that, his yardage goes massively down, and he doesn't have that touchdown. He's probably back in single digits again. Mike Williams, I prefer in large field GPPs to have that ceiling breaker type of game. Keenan Allen is safe, prefer him for cash, but also prefer him for large field GPPs. But again, if we want to target that $300,000, how are we doing it? We're going to target Mike Williams, in my opinion, should be able to really smash this Denver defense. Again, my opinion. I prefer Mike Williams in large field GPP because of the ceiling breaking upside. Keenan Allen firmly in play in all formats. But I would not play Mike Williams in a cash game. He's just not safe. Again, my opinion. Let's talk about the... everyone's been paid Denver Broncos. Jerry Jeudy, rookie contract. Cortland Sutton, massive contract extension. Tim Patrick, contract extension. Let's talk about the trio of amazing wide receivers for the Denver Broncos. The Denver, we're waiting on Aaron Rodgers Broncos. Setting this team up for success. Jerry Jeudy, 6,100. Cortland Sutton, 6,000. Tim Patrick, 5,700. Bravo, FanDuel, absolutely bravo here on FanDuel. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Putting this trio close together in terms of pricing. Jerry Jeudy, since coming back from injury. 4 targets, 8 targets, 9 targets. Getting more involved in the offense. 4 receptions, 6 receptions, 6 receptions. 39 receiving yards, 69 receiving yards, 48 receiving yards. Getting more and more involved week by week. It's the Cortland Sutton show right now. Or at least it should be. Why is he not more involved? Cortland Sutton lost a lot of playing time when Jeudy came back, it looks like. 4 targets, 2 targets. I thought he had more than that. I apologize, everyone. I thought he was more involved in that. Is it Tim Patrick? Yeah, they've all been a little bit involved. Tim Patrick, 3 targets, 5 targets, 6 targets. Teddy Bridgewater spreading the ball around. All right, so against the Chargers, I think it's... I can't believe I'm saying this. Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton in that order. I just think Tim Patrick is going to be peppered with targets here. Slot receiver for this team. I think Tim Patrick is the play. It's more of a gut call. Patrick, Jeudy, Sutton in that order for me. I would say that on both sides, depending on price. Let's just take a look at Draftkings pricing real quick here. Let's start off San Francisco and go back here to Denver. Judy's 5,500. Again, Sutton 5,400. Tim Patrick 4,800. Again, Patrick, Jeudy, Sutton that order. However, I might choose Sutton a bit more here with his... He can break the slate kind of upside. All of them are in play. Tight ends. Noah Fant. Love this play for Fant. As much as I say that tight end stats are a little, noisy. Chargers are giving up 625 receiving yards versus opposing tight ends and 9 touchdowns. Tied for most in the league with the Philadelphia Eagles. Noah Fant is a phenomenal tight end play this week. Jared Cook, 5,000, also firmly in play to mix up your stacks. But, we've seen him get a couple touchdowns this season. Hasn't really done much as I thought he was going to. The man who's been more involved is Donald Parham. But again, Parham's not someone I want to take a massive shot on. But if you're punting in the tight end position, Parham, $4,700, firmly in play for me over Jared Cook in terms of upside. Cook safer, Parham, I think, has more upside than Cook. But Cook definitely safer. That is going to do it for our GPP, games to target, or games we want to fade segment. I'm going to take a quick break here, and I'm going to put it over to you guys and gals that are watching this live stream. Do you have any questions? Drop them in the YouTube chat or drop them in the Main Event DFS Discord and tag me in the NFL channel chat. I'll give you all about 15-30 seconds here as I take another drink of water. Let's get those questions in. How can I help you all win that $300,000 on this FanDuel slate? What questions do you have? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. What questions do y'all have for this Week 12 main slate? Okay, we got a question here in chat. Main Event DFS Discord chat. Benjamin M asks, Texans, Taylor, Burkhead, and Cooks can run it back with Coleman. Well, let's take a look at it. It's the Jets at Houston. This game is sitting at where's the over-under for this slate, this game? 44.5 with the Houston favored by 2.5. Let me take a look at it real quick. Let's head over here. Tyrod Taylor, he's $7,400. Wow. Okay. He's been okay. So Taylor plus Burkhead. Let's see. And Cooks, we know has been involved. And you want to run it back with Tevin Coleman? Tevin Coleman's fine. I'd rather run it back with Ty Johnson if you're going to do it that way. I think Ty Johnson's the play for the 200 over Tevin Coleman. We see him have more upside than Tevin Coleman. In my opinion, Tevin Coleman's just never lived up to the hype in his career that he has, and he has a chance with the Jets and just hasn't succeeded with it, but he's been solid. He's not really involved in the rushing game at all. Ty Johnson getting a little bit more involved in the rushing game, but targeted in the receiving game. I'd rather take a chance on a Ty Johnson. I'm fine if you want to go way off the board, Benjamin here with a Houston stack. I think Burkhead's a really interesting play at $5,700. And the fact that Phillip Lindsay's been cut, I think it's right now between him and David Johnson, who we've seen Johnson just hasn't done anything this year. And, you know, the one thing that stands out to me is against Tennessee, 18 rushing attempts for 40 yards. Now, we know Tennessee's been better against the run lately, but, you know, I think he's a fine play against the Jets. So I actually really like that. And again, I know you don't really want to play anyone else from Houston. I think Nico Collins is interesting if Collins plays. I think Amendola is really interesting. Who else we got here? Chris Connolly, has he been involved? Been a little bit involved. Yeah, I think for a large field GPP, Benjamin, Taylor, Burkhead, Cooks, I wouldn't go crazy on your exposure, though. I wouldn't go at all crazy. But, you know, when you think about it, it's not a bad thing. In a game with two very bad defenses, that could pay off. So I think it's a really interesting stack, but I would only play it in GPPs, especially large field GPPs. I just wouldn't go crazy on exposure with any of them. So for me, it'd be Taylor, Burkhead, Cooks. I'd prefer to run it back with an Elijah Moore. I'd prefer to run it back with a pass catcher. We've seen Elijah Moore be absolutely nuts. Only $6,400. However, Zach Wilson is starting. We haven't exactly seen Elijah Moore break out with Zach Wilson starting, so it'll be an interesting experiment. But if you're looking to run it back with a running back, I'd prefer Ty Johnson to Tevin Coleman. I prefer Elijah Moore over both Coleman and Johnson. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start working on our defense segment here, ladies and gentlemen. So favorite defenses for me this week. Again, if you have any more questions, fire them up in chat, fire them up in YouTube chat, or in the Main Event DFS Discord NFL channel chat. Favorite defenses for me on FanDuel. Patriots. $5,000 absolutely should be in your player pool if you can afford them. I think the Texans are really interestingly priced here on FanDuel at $4,900 versus the Zach Wilson-led Jets. What are they on DraftKings? 2,300. That's where I prefer playing the Texans on DraftKings to FanDuel. They're the second cheapest defense this week on DraftKings, are the Texans at 2,300, as opposed to 4,800 and the second most expensive on FanDuel, but still firmly in play. Panthers on the road against Miami, no thank you. The Jags at home versus Atlanta. We've seen this Jags defense be better the last couple weeks, but not something I'm looking forward to paying $500 for here on FanDuel. I'm going to double check those stats again. Yeah, this is not a defense I'm looking forward to playing here on FanDuel. No Jags for me. So Patriots, Texans. I think the Rams on the road are really interesting this week. And I said we'd touch base on this game super quick. This game is sitting at let's refresh the page. This game right now is sitting at a 47 over-under with the Rams favored by 1.5. I think that both quarterbacks are in play. Rodgers at 79, Stafford at 77. Henderson, love him this week against the Packers. You know Packers are a run funnel defense. You rush the ball against them. You don't pass against them. A.J. Dillon against the Rams. Good luck. I don't want to play A.J. Dillon this week against Rams, but he's going to be getting all the volumes. However, Aaron Jones looks to be coming back to this game. So he's expected to play. And if he does play, you know, it said right here at Numberfire is saying expect Jones to split time with A.J. Dillon if he's active. So probably situation I'm going to stay away from. If Jones doesn't play, A.J. Dillon is a fine play. Probably not something I'm excited about playing. On the wide receiver side of things, Cooper Kupp, you lock and load him. Devontae Adams, lock and load him. Beckham, they said, is getting more firmly involved. Beckham is an interesting one. 5,800, he's super cheap. And someone I think we can absolutely target on this slate. So let's keep that in mind. And I think he's absolutely firmly in play here on the slate. Van Jefferson, for whatever reason, they just don't want to get him more involved. Marquez Valdez scaling. He's fine for large field GPPs. Randall Cobb, again, fine for large field GPPs. Not exciting. It's really just Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, and Odell Beckham for me with a little bit of Marquez Valdez Scantling. Tight ends in this game. Higbee's in play. I'm not playing a Green Bay tight end. Heading back here real quickly to our defenses. Let's see real quick. No on the... Actually, the Eagles' defense on the run against the Giants was interesting. Tampa, no. Tampa's interesting on the road anyway. I think again it's going to be a shootout. I mean, the highest over on the entire slate. So just keep that here in mind. Quick. Sorry about that. I want to make sure you guys could still hear me okay. No on the Broncos, even though I think they're an interesting GPP play. I just think Herbert's going to have a field day. But they're in play if you want to play them for some leverage. Steelers are fine. San Francisco's fine. Neither are exciting. I'm more excited about playing the Steelers on the road than I am the 49ers at home. I think Minnesota's just good. No on the Titans. No on the Falcons. No on the Packers. I mean, you can play them if you want at home in Lambeau. Depends on the weather. 3,700 is actually not a bad price tag for them. The Chargers on the road. I don't like playing road defenses. But the Chargers, I think, underpriced at 3,600. I'm interested in playing them, knowing the Colts, knowing the Dolphins. Knowing the Giants. I think the lowest I'd go is the Dolphins at 3,400. Probably will gravitate towards the Packers and Chargers. Probably Packers more. Giants are fine. I don't want to take a chance against Philly. Alright, and I'm not playing the Vikings on the road. Well, let's get into it. It's time for our core value GPP and favorite stack segment. Core plays for me on this slate. I don't know if I'd call them so much a core play. Justin Herbert is a super close core play for me on the slate. On the road at Denver, he's been absolutely outstanding. We take a look at some of the other positions here real quick as I just scroll through. Keenan Allen, probably close to a core play for me on the slate. My favorite, I'm going to jump right to my favorite stack. It's going to be a 4 stack. And you can figure out with this however you want to play it. Herbert plus Eckler plus Allen is safe. Herbert plus Allen plus Mike Williams, high upside. Not safe because of Mike Williams. So keep that in mind. There are a lot of great GPP plays this week. Kyle Pitts is a great GPP play. George Kittle is a great GPP play. Pittman, GPP play. All the top end running backs here. Taylor McCaffrey, Najee, Eckler, Cook, Mixon. All great GPP plays. Even James Robinson here. Excuse me. $7,600 firmly in play. Henderson. I don't really have a super core this week. To be honest with you, I don't have a super core. Value plays. Garoppolo's a value. Tua's a value. Mac Jones is a value. Daniel Jones is a value. Joe Burrow's really interesting this week, but not something I take chances on. From running backs, Javonte, Ty Johnson, no one else is sticking out to me here. Jeff Wilson, Miles Sanders even, all value plays. Melvin Gordon, more of a GPP play. Wide receiver value, we got, I think DJ Moore's underpriced at 6,700. Mike Williams underpriced at 6,600. Elijah Moore, great GPP play, not value. Brandon Ayuk, great GPP, not value. So I'm kind of mixing these together, everyone, sorry. The trio of Judy, Sutton, and Tim Patrick, all GPP, not so much value. Kenny Golladay, I think, is a value. Beckham's a value. Jacoby Myers is a value. Tim Patrick is a value. Westbrook-Akine is a value. Nelson Aguilar, Van Jefferson, value in GPP. Chester Rogers, value. Des Fitzpatrick, value in GPP. Tight ends. Kittle, Pitts, Gronk. Gronk, my favorite tight end on the slate. Pitts is really interesting, 6,600. So Gronk, Kittle, Pitts. Well, Gronk, Kittle, Fant, Pitts. Pitts has got great upside. But I think Fant outbeats all of them in terms of pricing. Let's see. Pat Fryermuth is interesting as a value. Uzoma is always interesting as a value. Not someone I don't typically play tight ends against the Steelers. Darren Arnold's interesting. Jerry Cook's interesting. I tell you some other ones I don't mind is Parham, Doyle. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any other questions here on the slate, you are more than welcome to reach out to me on Twitter at AdamWX21, or you're more than welcome to reach out to me on Discord in the NFL DFS Discord. You can tag me at AdamWX21. I'm more than happy to answer anyone's questions. I'll give a few seconds here for drop some last minute questions here in the YouTube chat or over in the Main Event DFS Discord. But if there are no other questions, I am going to end this stream. And it's just under an hour. How about that? Not bad for a solo live stream. And if you have any other questions for this slate, please feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at AdamWX21. Reach out to me over on the Main Event DFS Discord at AdamWX21 as well. Thank you all for tuning in. Good luck on this Week 12 slate. Latest, peoples.